Hello, a very good morning, students. So, in the last class, we discussed about menstrual cycle or endometrial cycle. Okay. So, as you know that the endometrial cycle or the menstrual cycle, it is nothing but, as I have said, that the periodic or the rhythmic changes that takes place in female reproductive system. The main aim is to produce the gamete, that is nothing but the ovum. See, there are several events which takes place during the menstrual cycle. So, the first thing is the bleeding phase or the menstrual phase, where the old endometrium that ruptures and that goes out of the body through the vagina, where we can see the blood in the secretions of the vagina. So, that is what is called as the bleeding phase or the menstrual phase. Okay. And the next one is the proliferative phase or follicular phase. So, where the follicles which are found in the ovary, they will develop during the proliferative phase or the follicular phase under the influence of the hormone FSH, that is follicular stimulating hormone. So, and the next one is the ovulation phase. See, ovulation that takes place, as I said, in the midway of the menstrual cycle. So, say for standard, that is at the 14th day of the menstrual cycle, the ovulation takes place. The main reason behind why ovulation that occurs in the 14th day is the presence of FSH and LH, especially the luteinizing hormone is the major one that is required for rupturing of Graafian follicle to release the ovum. So they were in peak level at the midway of the menstrual cycle. That's why ovulation takes place on 14th day or anywhere in the mid cycle or anywhere in the midway of the endometrial cycle. The reason behind is the level of LH and FSH, they were in peak. So once after the release of ovum by the Graafian follicle, so the next phase is said to be the luteal phase or the secretory phase. Okay. So during that, the Graafian follicle get converted into corpus luteum. Okay. So that is nothing but the empty Graafian follicle get converted into corpus luteum. I said it can act as temporary endocrine gland. It secretes progesterone in a major concentration and a little bit of estrogen. Okay. See, the progesterone is very much necessary to maintain the pregnancy as it prepares the uterus for implantation. As I said that the thickness of the endometrium, the new endometrium that is formed, that increases. The endometrium will become more spongy. High vascularization of endometrium is seen. That is majorly by the activity of progesterone. Two-fold or double-fold progesterone level is seen as it is secreted by the corpus luteum. If there is a fertilization, at that time, the corpus luteum will remain and can act as temporary endocrine gland. It is not a permanent one, can act as a temporary endocrine gland. So, if there is no fertilization, corpus luteum that can degenerates into another structure, what we call corpus albicans. Okay. So, as it secretes the hormone, the progesterone and the estrogen, that phase is said to be secretory phase or luteal phase. Luteal it is named mainly because as corpus luteum is produced, that's why it is named as luteal phase. So, or it is otherwise said to be the secretory phase as it secretes the hormones. Okay. So, if there is no fertilization, corpus luteum that can degenerates into corpus albicans. Okay. So, thereafter the 28 days that will complete, again the level of FSH and LH that increases. Once the level of progesterone or the estrogen that decreases in the blood, it was recognized by hypothalamus. Again it secretes GnRH, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone. So that will stimulate the anterior pituitary gland to release gonadotropins like LH and FSH. Again the same cycle will repeat. FSH that stimulate the follicle to develop, I said there are about 5 to 6 follicles. They starts developing. Among that only one will reach complete maturity, that is said to be the dominant follicle. Okay. And that can develops into Graafian follicle. So again LH that acts on the Graafian follicle to release the ovum. So the same cycle will repeat. Okay, so this is about menstrual cycle or endometrial cycle that you have studied in the last class. Okay, so for today, one of the most important concept and the interesting thing, how fertilization that occurs in human beings, how the sperm and the ovum that will fuse. Okay, so that is the concept for today's session, that is fertilization. So as you know that fertilization is nothing but the fusion of gametes, the male and female gametes. That is what is called as fertilization. Okay, so you know the male gametes, they are nothing but the sperms and the female gamete is nothing but the ovum. Both the sperm and the ovum, they fuse together and that will form the zygote. Okay, So as you know that fertilization in human beings is internal. In humans, the fertilization is said to be internal. You know what is internal fertilization? That is nothing but the fusion of gametes within the body of the female. So that is what is called as internal. Within the body of the animal, the fertilization, the fusion of gametes will take place. That is that you have studied in the first chapter. Okay. So whereas in some animals, external fertilization is seen, where fertilization or fusion of gametes that takes place outside the body in the surrounding environment. It may be water, but whereas in case of higher animals, the fertilization is internal. As humans are also the higher animal, the fertilization is internal. You know that the males are provided with a copulatory organ in case of internal fertilization. That is nothing but the penis. Okay. So the fusion of sperm that is secreted by the male or produced by males and the ovum that results in the formation of the zygote. The fusion of sperm and the ovum that results in the formation of the zygote. See, zygote is a product of fertilization. Once the two gametes are fused, the sperm and the ovum, you know that sperm is a male gamete, whereas ovum is a female gamete. Once they get fused together, that will form the zygote. Okay. So as it takes place within the body of the female, especially within the uterus, that's why the fertilization is said to be internal, and also the development is also internal. So not only the fertilization, the development of the fetus, the nourishment of the fetus, that also within the body of the female, that is within the womb or the uterus. That's why the development and the fertilization in humans, it is said to be internal. So where the developing fetus or the young one or the embryo that get attaches to the uterus by means of the structure what is called as placenta. I will explain later about the placenta, about the development of the placenta. Okay. See, the fetus that get attached to uterus by means of placenta. So placenta is nothing but it's an organic connection between the mother and the fetus. So where it supplies nutrition for the developing young one or the embryo or the fetus. Okay. So it plays a major role in the development of the young one. Okay. See, the fertilization, the process of fertilization, it begins from where or when? Okay. See, during the coitus or during the mating, coitus is nothing but the mating. Know that mating is nothing but the male inserts the penis inside the vagina. That is what is called as coitus or the mating. So during that, the male will release the sperm. During coitus, the male will release the sperm into vagina. The sperms are deposited into vagina. Okay, you know what is vagina? Vagina is nothing but the birth canal, or it is otherwise said to be the copulatory chamber. Okay, during coitus or mating, the male ejaculates the sperm is deposited inside the vagina, and that process what is called as insemination. See, insemination is nothing but the process of deposition of sperm in the vagina, and that is called as insemination. See, during single ejaculation, a male can release up to 3 to 4 ml of semen. You know what is a semen? Semen is a mixture of sperm and the fluid which is secreted by the accessory glands which are found in the male reproductive system. So during copulation or coitus or mating, the male will release the semen inside the vagina, or the sperms are released into vagina, and that process what is called as insemination. It is nothing but the process of deposition of sperm inside the vagina is called as insemination. See, a single ejaculation that nearly consists of 300 to 400 million sperms. 300 to 400 million sperms. But you think about only one ovum is produced per menstrual cycle. But the number of sperms will be 300 to 400. Why that much amount of sperms are necessary? To fuse with only one ovum or to fertilize only one ovum. Because the sperms has to travel a long way. That is from the vagina, has to, you just remember the female reproductive system. Okay. So where a female reproductive system that mainly consists of the uterus, the ovaries, just remember, or otherwise you can look into my previous video that can explain the female reproductive system. Okay, so where the female reproductive system that mainly consists of a pair of ovaries, the uterus, the cervix and the vagina. You know that the vagina is nothing but the birth canal, or it is otherwise called as copulatory chamber. The male inserts penis into vagina during mating or copulation, or that is what is called as coitus. So during that the sperm or semen is released into vagina. See, some of them are demobilized because they can't move, some of the sperm. Though 300 to 400 million sperms are released per ejaculation, many of them they can't reach the target. Okay, so they fails to move, or they may stick to the wall of the vagina or the cervix. Okay, so that is what is called as demobilization. Some of the sperms are demobilized, and some of them, or the number of them, which moves towards their way or towards their target. Okay, see, the vagina that receives a semen, so where the sperm that starts moving, the sperms will move towards, they find their way towards the uterus, they passes the cervix, then they enter into uterus. Okay, so then they find their way towards any of the oviduct, or towards both of the oviducts. You know, the fallopian tube or the oviduct, so that can conduct or that can carry the ovum. Okay, see, that process what is called as insemination, the process of deposition of semen or sperm into the vagina during coitus is called as insemination. I said that there are about 300 to 400 million sperms which are found in a single ejaculation, that consists of about 3 to 4 ml of the semen. Okay, so that after that the sperm starts moving. Some of them, I said that some of them are demobilized, they may stick to the wall of the vagina, or they may stick to cervix or somewhere in the uterus. Okay, and number of them they starts moving towards in searching of the ovum. Okay, either they move towards any of the fallopian tube, okay, or both of the fallopian tube, okay, in finding the ovum. Okay, and the next thing is, see, during the movement of the sperm, one of the important and interesting thing that will take place. Okay, that process what we call as capacitation. That is what is known as capacitation. See, capacitation is nothing but a kind of activation of the sperm, a process where that activates the sperm once it releases into female reproductive tract. Okay, so what happens during capacitation? One of the most important thing, you just glance or just remember the structure of sperm, or you can look into the previous video. Okay, the structure of the sperm. You know that the sperm that consists of the structures like the head, the middle piece, the neck, the middle piece and the tail. See, this is the structure of a human sperm that you have studied in the previous class. Okay, you know the structure that is found in the head, that is what we call as acrosome. Acrosome. This is a very important structure that is found in the sperm that can secrete or that can store the hydrolytic enzymes. Okay, so that I have explained, like neuraminidase, hyaluronidase and acrosin. See, these are the major enzymes which are secreted or stored inside the acrosome, that is mainly responsible for degrading the wall of the ovum. So one thing, during the capacitation, the acrosome that consists of a cholesterol covering or a fatty sheath that is found around the sperm, especially in the head region, in the acrosome region, that fatty sheath or cholesterol sheath that is removed by the secretions of female genital tract. Okay, so that is one thing, that is removal of cholesterol sheath or a fatty sheath that is found around the head of the sperm, especially near the acrosomal region, by the secretions of the female genital tract. That is one of the process that takes place during the capacitation. Okay, and the next thing is, first one, removal of cholesterol or fatty sheath that is found around the acrosome, and the second thing that happens is entry of calcium ions into sperm. Entry of calcium ions into sperm, they were very much necessary for the motility of the sperm. The sperm motility will increase once after the calcium ions will enter into it. Okay, And another thing, neutralization of inhibitory factors. Neutralization of inhibitory factors which are found in the semen. See, the semen that consists of some of the inhibitory factors or some of the secretions which are secreted by the accessory glands of the male reproductive system, so that may inhibits the movement of the sperm or some activities of the sperm. So these factors, they are neutralized, their effect is neutralized. Okay, so that is another process. See, three events that takes place during capacitation. One is removal of fatty sheath or cholesterol sheath that is found around the acrosome, and the next thing is the entry of calcium ion into the sperm that will increase the motility or activates the sperm, and another thing is neutralization of inhibitory factors which are found in the semen. So that process, what is called as capacitation. See, this is one of the most important thing. So, and it takes place nearly, the process of capacitation, usually it takes place around 5 to 6 hours. Capacitation that takes place usually 5 to 6 hours. Then what happens after capacitation? See, once capacitation is over, the sperms, they starts moving their way towards the egg or the ovum. As you know that the egg or the ovum that enters into the fallopian tube in the ampullary isthmic junction, you just remember the finger-like projections which are found near the ovary, that is, they were what we called as fimbriae. So then the ampulla and the isthmic junction where the ovum will be located. Okay, it is transferred by means of ciliary contractions, movement of the structure, that is what is called as the fallopian tube. So where it moves the ovum towards the ampullary isthmic junction. The broader portion, what is called as infundibulum, fimbriae, infundibulum, then ampulla and the isthmus. In between the junction of the ampulla and the isthmus, the ovum will be rested, or it is located in that, it is travelled up to here. Then the sperms, they should move towards the fallopian tube, they enters into fallopian tube and reaches the ovum. So after capacitation, the sperms, they starts moving towards the oviduct or the fallopian tube. So, and the movement of the sperm is also changed. After the capacitation, the undulating movement is nothing but the wavy movement of the sperm that will change us to whiplash movement. The undulating movement gets changed to whiplash movement. You know what is a whip? Okay, ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಚಾವಟಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಚಾವಟಿ ಬೀಸಿದಾಗ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೋ ಆ ಥರ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಟೈಲ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ವೇವಿ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಸ್ಪರ್ಮು ಆಕ್ಟಿವೇಶನ್ ಆದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ವಿಪ್ಲಾಶ್ ಮೂಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮೂಮೆಂಟು ಕನ್ವರ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So then the motility of the sperm will increase, they speed up, okay, so towards the oviduct. So during the movement, they can move up to 1.5 to 3 millimeter per minute. 1.5 to 3 millimeter per minute. So within 5 minutes, they move into the oviduct. They move around 1.5 to 3 millimeter per minute. The movement is, then within 5 minutes, they move towards the fallopian tube. Okay. So this is about the travel of the sperm. How the sperms will get travel. Once after they entry into vagina, they passes the cervix, they enters into uterus. Thereafter they find their way towards the fallopian tube. By the same moment, the ovum is also released by the ovary. So then the ovum will enter into ampullary isthmic junction. So then many of the sperm will enter into fallopian tube. Ultimately, only one sperm will fuse with the ovum. Okay, so that will reaches the ovum. See, the sperms travel their way towards the egg or the ovum. They move towards the oviduct. So both by their own movement and also by the contractions of uterine muscles and also the fallopian tube. Okay, so by the combination of these two movements, by the own movement of the sperm and also by the contractions of the uterus and the fallopian tube, they carry the sperms towards the ovum. So just remember the structure of ovum. See, ovum are the female gamete that is surrounded by the layers, like the outer one called as corona radiata. You can observe here in the diagram the cells of corona radiata, and in turn it is surrounded by another layer a wall called as zona pellucida. Okay. So thereafter it consists of the plasma membrane. Okay. See, this is a structure of a ovum, and you can see some of the sperms which can surrounding the ovum. Okay. So I said that the movement is 1.5 to 3 millimeter per minute. So they move by with their own movement, whiplash movement of the tail, and also by the contractions of the uterus. So where the sperms are moved towards the ovum. So now the sperms, some of them, they start surrounding the ovum. Okay. Among that, only one of the sperm will fuse with the ovum. That is what is called as a lucky sperm. Among that, among the millions of the sperm, only one sperm will fuse with the ovum. Okay. So now the reactions will take place. The attachment of the sperm to the ovum by means of some chemical receptors which are found in the wall of the ovum, that is in the zona pellucida. The zona pellucida, that consists of some receptors where the sperms can get attached by means of certain chemical reactions with those receptors, then the sperm get attached to the ovum. Before that, the cells of corona radiata, that should be degraded because it has to make its path to enter inside the ovum or to enter inside the egg. So where the lysins which are secreted by, lysins are nothing but they are the enzymes. Okay, so which are secreted by the acrosome that can degrade the corona radiata, the wall of corona radiata at some portions. Okay, so then the sperm can penetrate or passes the corona radiata by secreting lysins that can degrade the cells of corona radiata. Okay, so then the sperm will enter the region what we call as zona pellucida. So where there are receptors, as I have said that there are some receptors which are found in the zona pellucida, to that the sperms get attached. That is what we call as compatibility reaction. See, compatibility is nothing but adjustment or Kannadadalli ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ. Okay, so where the sperm get attaches to zona pellucida by means of some receptors. Okay, because no other sperm, it means the sperm of any other animal that cannot fuse with the ovum of the human beings, or the ovum of other animal that cannot fuse with the sperm of human beings, because there is a compatibility for each species, it is specific for each species. That's why only the species, the sperm and the ovum of the same species, they only fuse because of compatibility. Okay, so then the compatibility proteins which are found in the wall of zona pellucida where they receive the sperm, only one of the sperm will enters into zona pellucida where that secretes the enzymes like acrosin, hyaluronidase and neuraminidase that can degrade the wall of zona pellucida, or it can penetrate into zona pellucida by secreting hydrolytic enzymes. Okay, so then the sperm will enter into zona pellucida region. Okay, but then it secretes the hydrolytic enzymes like acrosin, hyaluronidase and neuraminidase. Thereafter it makes its way towards the egg nucleus. Okay, so then another very important structure where the plasma membrane of the ovum or the egg, that will produces a cone shaped structure, okay, to which the sperm will enter. It passes corona radiata, then it passes zona pellucida by secreting the enzymes. First it attaches to zona pellucida because of some receptors which are found in the zona pellucida. Thereafter, once it reaches the plasma membrane of the egg, the plasma membrane of egg that produces a dome shaped or a cone shaped structure that can engulf the sperm, only one sperm. Okay, so then that is what is called as fertilization cone. That is called as fertilization cone. Only one of the sperm will enter into that fertilization cone, or the fertilization cone that can engulf the sperm. So only the head and the middle piece of the sperm will enter, the tail will remain outside. The head and the middle piece will enter and the tail will remain outside. See, the entry of the sperm into the ooplasm. Ooplasm is nothing but the cytoplasm of the egg that makes some changes in the ovum. Okay, so where the ovum will releases the cortical granules. The ovum will releases the cortical granules at that time. See, once the sperm head and the middle piece enters into the ooplasm, ooplasm is nothing but the cytoplasm of the egg. There are some changes which occurs in the ooplasm where the ovum that releases the cortical granules, and that can create a membrane, a structure that is what is called as perivitelline space, and it produces a membrane called as fertilization membrane. Fertilization membrane. It produces fertilization membrane in the perivitelline space. You can see here, perivitelline space is nothing but the space between the plasma membrane of the ovum and the zona pellucida. The space between the plasma membrane of the ovum, you can observe here the red colored one. This is the plasma membrane of the ovum, and the zona pellucida, between that the space is what is called as perivitelline space. Once the ovum releases the cortical granules, where a fertilization membrane, or this is also called as activation calyx. Activation calyx is produced to perivitelline space that prevents the entry of further sperm or another sperm into the ovum. Okay, I will repeat. The fertilization membrane or the activation membrane that is produced by once the sperm enter into the ooplasm, the cortical granules, they arrange themselves in the perivitelline space. They creates a membrane, that membrane called as fertilization membrane or activation calyx. This will prevent the entry of another sperm into ovum, because only one sperm should enter into ovum. That's why this membrane is produced and prevent the entry of another sperm into ovum. And also by the meantime, the receptors found in the zona pellucida, they are inactivated, because it should not bind with another sperm. The possibility only one sperm will fuses with the egg. That's why the receptors found in the zona pellucida also, they get inactivated, and fertilization membrane or activation calyx is also produced. It prevents the entry of another sperm. Okay, so thereafter what happens next? So then once the sperm enters into the ooplasm, the fertilization cone that subsides, it means it disappears. Then the plasma membrane of the sperm head that dissolves, and it releases the male nuclei. It releases the male nuclei. The ovum nuclei or the female nuclei is present here. The sperm will releases the male nuclei. So the entry of contents of the sperm, it means the content of the head and the content of the middle piece and some part of the neck, like proximal centriole. Okay, just remember the structure of the sperm. All of those things will enter into the ooplasm. The male nuclei, proximal centriole, and the contents of the middle piece, okay, they will enter into the ooplasm. So you know that the ovum is released at the secondary oocyte stage. The division is arrested in meiosis 2, in the metaphase of meiosis 2 or in metaphase 2. Okay. Once the sperm enters into the ooplasm, once it releases its contents, the proximal centrioles and the other contents, the division reoccurs or restarts in the ovum. As it arrested in the metaphase 2, the sperm entry that activates the ooplasm and the further division is completed, it releases another polar body. You know that the second polar body is found attached with the secondary oocyte. Once it completes the meiosis 2, it was arrested in metaphase 2 during ovulation or process of formation of ovum, where the sperm entry that continues its division, that restarts the division, so then it completes the meiosis 2 and releases or it throws off another polar body. Okay. The main function of proximal centriole, so that forms the spindle fibers, which can help in separation of the nuclear content or the chromosomes. Okay. So now the male nuclei or the female nuclei, now they are regarded as pronuclei. Male pronuclei and female pronuclei. The male pronuclei that swims in the ooplasm, it bolts up or it swims in the ooplasm, then it reaches the female nuclei. So at the point of contact of the nuclei, so where the nuclear membrane that disappears at the point of contact, then the contents of both the nuclei will fuse together. I have demarcated or differentiated here with the blue and red. Okay, you can observe the blue one as the male nuclei, male pronuclei, and the red one has female pronuclei or female nuclei or the nuclei of the ovum, where at the point of contact of the two nuclei, the nuclear membrane that disappears. Okay, so where the contents of both the nuclei, the nucleoplasm and the genetic material, mainly the 23 and 23 chromosomes, are the DNA that mainly mixes together. This is a mixing of nuclei, two nuclei, that is what we call as synkaryon. So now the two nuclei, they fuse together, and that is called as synkaryon. Syn means fuse, karyon means nucleus, and the process what we call as karyogamy. Karyogamy is nothing but the fusion of nuclei. The process is called as karyogamy, and where the two male and female nuclei, they fuse together, that is what is called as synkaryon. Syn means fuse, karyon means nucleus, the two nuclei they fuse. And the process what we call as karyogamy. Karyogamy is nothing but fusion of nucleus. Okay. So the male and female nucleus, they fuses together, the nuclear content will mixes. So now the re-establishment of the diploid set, that is the 46 chromosomes are re-established. 23 chromosomes from the sperm and 23 chromosomes from the ovum. So now the 46 chromosomes were re-established, and now this is termed as the zygote. This is termed as the zygote. It is not referred as ovum now, so now it is termed as zygote. Okay, so this, once the zygote is produced, the process of fertilization will complete. Okay, so where it produced by the fusion of sperm and the ovum, the process of fertilization will complete once the zygote is produced. Then the zygote will undergo cleavage. Okay, quickly I will glance. See, during the coitus or the mating, the male will releases a semen into vagina. I said that 3 to 4 ml of semen is released per ejaculation. It consists of around 300 to 400 million sperms. Among that, the sperms, some of the sperms will move towards the cervix. They enters into the uterus. They finds their way towards the fallopian tube. During the movement, the capacitation will take place. It means the entry of calcium ions into sperm, then neutralization of the inhibitory factors found in the semen, okay, and removal of cholesterol sheath which is found in the sperm. So then the sperm, activated sperm, will enter into the fallopian tube. So where the sperms can live up to 24 to 48 hours, but the ovum can survive or lives up to 24 hours only. There is a fertilization at that time. If there is a mating at that time only, the fertilization will take place. If there is no mating or copulation, fertilization cannot be takes place. Okay. So then the sperm enter into the fallopian tube, finds their way towards the egg or the ovum. Only few of the sperms will surround the ovum. There are some chemical reactions which occurs between the sperm and the ovum. The sperm acrosome that secretes some chemical substances like lysins that can degrade the wall of corona radiata. So thereafter the sperm will enter into zona pellucida, the acrosomes that secrete some proteolytic enzymes like acrosin, hyaluronidase and neuraminidase. So where it penetrates the zona pellucida, it reaches the plasma membrane of the egg. So then the plasma membrane of the egg that produces a dome shaped or a cone shaped structure, that is called as fertilization cone. The sperm is engulfed into that. Okay. So then the sperm head and the middle piece and the neck will enter into the plasma membrane or into the ooplasm. Then the fertilization cone will be subsided. The entry of sperm into the ooplasm that activates some of the substances or chemical reactions in the ovum. So where it releases, it throws off the cortical granules and it creates into the perivitaline space. It creates a fertilization membrane or activation calyx that prevents the entry of another sperm into ovum. And also the receptors found in the zona pellucida, they get inactivated. That also prevents another sperm into ovum. Thereafter, the sperm plasma membrane of the head that will dissolve and it releases its contents, the nucleus and the centrioles, it releases its contents. So then the ovum that completes its meiosis too, okay, it throws off another polar body. So the entry of sperm that provides proximal centriole that helps in the formation of spindle fibers for the separation of the chromosomes during its division, during the cleavage of the zygote. Okay. So then the nucleus of the sperm and the ovum, they fuse together, and now the nucleus they are termed as synkaryon, and the process what we call as karyogamy. Okay. So once the karyogamy takes place, the diploid set is re-established. 46 number of chromosomes were re-established. So now it is termed as a zygote. Okay. So once a zygote is produced, the process of fertilization that completes. So thereafter, the zygote that starts dividing. Okay, that is what is called as cleavage and embryonic development. So in the next class, I will deal with the cleavage and the embryonic development, okay, and the development of the fetus. Okay, thank you.